Week 13 is in the books. The draft order is set. What are some of the draft storylines? Where do the Washington Commanders go in the 2024 NFL draft for the top 5 pick? We'll talk about this and more coming up next.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Locked On family? Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast, the daily podcast covering your favorite draft prospects, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout out for being our everydays. I'm your boy, Damian Parson, always on the ones and twos. You can find and follow me on X at DP_NFL. I'm a national scout and a senior draft analyst, and I got to kick this intro over to my guy, Mr. LSU Keith Sanchez, 2019 national champion with them LSU Bengal Tigers. You can find and follow him on X at TheTalentCode. Keith, talk to him, baby.
What's up, Locked On family? This is Keith Sanchez, 2019 national champ with those LSU Bengal Tigers. But, man, I'm going to say equally as important, the other side to this Locked On NFL Draft podcast, man, when we talk everything college football, we talk everything NFL football, and what we say over here is that it all starts with the draft, man. Today, we have a heck of a slate, man, so go ahead and hit that like button. Man, drop y'all comments. We want y'all to comment on YouTube, comment to us, right? Talk to us, and if you're not subscribed to the channel. But DP, real quick, man, NFL Week 13 recap. We're going to talk draft storylines. Then we're going to head into the rookie report. There were some big-time games by some rookies, but also an interesting conversation we're going to have about a certain wide receiver on an AFC contending team. And then we're going to hop into the locker room and hand out those game balls. But DP, let's jump straight into this draft storyline.
Keith, the Washington Commanders right now have a top 5 pick. Right now, per NFL.com, they are slated with the 4th pick in the draft. They have lost 4 straight games. We know there's going to be some turnover with the coaching staff, things of that nature. They already fired their defensive coordinator. And I sat there and I thought about, where do the Washington Commanders go? Right? You're top 5. Do you go Jaden Daniels? Do you replace Sam Howell? We know a new coaching staff is going to come in. But, Keith, I think this is, and we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, that the way that the Titans were trending, they were going to be the first team that we expect the tackle to come off the board with. I don't think so anymore, Keith. I think if this thing plays out the way it's happening, the Washington Commanders having a top 5 pick, I think this is an ideal spot for one of those offensive tackles offensive tackles to come off the board, or maybe, Keith, a Jared Verse, a Laitu Latu, a edge rusher. You traded away your top 2 edges this season, mid-season, at the trade deadline. You traded away Montez Sweat to the Chicago Bears. You traded away Chase Young to the San Francisco 49ers, right? You, like, this team is trending in a position where it's literally rebuilding. They're headed towards, like, a full-fledged rebuild. Like, so those are the 2 positions I look at, Keith, whether it's Olu Fashanu or Joe Alt, right? Or it's Jared Verse, Dallas Turner, Laitu Latu. I think the trenches is where the Washington Commanders need to start looking. I don't think quarterback is their biggest issue right now.
But Deep, I was just going to ask you that. So you're perfectly fine. Let's see if they're in that top 2, top 3, right? Because there's no telling how far the bottom can fall out of this, right? If they top 2, top 3, is this okay, cool? We're not worried about Caleb Williams or Drake May in that situation for you, DP?
I think Caleb or Drake have much higher ceilings than the Sam Howell, right? You know what I mean? But I think that what I deal with in that situation is you struggle to build an offensive line through free agency already before, right? With a quarterback on a rookie contract right now with Sam Howell, right? And I'm like, okay, so you pass up upgrading. Like, no matter how much we say quarterback is the most important position, the most important position group is the offensive line. And if you can't bolster that, if you can't improve that, if you choose to go against that, you're putting Caleb in a situation where he's running for his life the same way Sam Howell's running for his life. Drake May is going to be running for his life, right? So I think, granted, those 2 guys are better prospects and better potential players with higher ceilings. It will be a tough conversation if I'm the GM in that situation. Like, all right, Can I pass up on one of these upper echelon quarterbacks
Right.
for one of these two elite tackles, man? And granted, this is a great tackle class too, Keith. So I get that some people say, well, DP, Keith, I can get a tackle in the second round. This is true. You could. That's really risky though, because I expect 7 of them off the board in round 1 because it's just that good of a group. I would lean probably to upgrading quarterback, but it will be very difficult. You know what I mean? If we can't upgrade the offensive line in free agency, if we can't do that, I got to go O-line in the draft.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind it. I just, I know that that's going to be a conversation, right? Especially if you're sitting there in that top 2-ish to top 3-ish, and I wonder how much is this Commanders franchise and organization going to follow like fan base appeal? Because like we said, right, Kellen Williams is from that DMV area, right?
Yeah.
And then we talk about storyline selling. So and that's something we're going to continue to talk about as the Commanders move up the draft board, because they're moving up the draft board rapidly, DP. They're doing their thing. But also with the other part of this too, DP, we have to remember that they're under new ownership, right? With the new owner, majority owner, then now you have Magic Johnson. So this is going to be an interesting team because they won't have the same, I guess, trends that they usually have, right? Like it won't be the same characteristics because it's totally different people making those decisions as far as for a football organization. You asked me, DP, I'm cool with that, right? Like taking the offensive line, I feel confident in what Sam Howell could be. I think this team, they've went, I don't call it the Madden route, right? But they went wide receiver, right? They have 2 wide receivers, right? Then they went, quarterback. They found them a quarterback in the 5th round. But it's the trenches that they need to, especially on the offensive side of football, they need to address. So you look at the Commanders, like you're perfectly fine. They draft offensive tackle, then they go OT, then they go OG, then they draft an offensive guard, right? Like just keep tripling and quadrupling down on this offensive line because it appears that you could potentially have a good quarterback in Sam Howell if you can just protect him up front. Then also the other thing I want to talk about for the Commanders, DP, it has to be a run game. They have to get a run game. Like that's extremely important. And I'm talking about this again, Trevion Henderson. I think he's from the DMV area again. I think he's from Virginia, if I believe, man. Like bring him home, right? If it's not Caleb Williams to bring the fan base home, bring Trevion Henderson home, to the DMV area and let him tote the rock because there has to be some type of balance. Like Sam Howell has to be able some games just to be able to rely on a run game to get out of there.
No, 100%, Keith. And I want to pivot real quick to another storyline that I'm seeing kind of develop when it look at the NFL draft, right? And for me, Keith, I think about the New England Patriots, Bill Belichick, thinking about adding Drake May or Caleb Williams to a Bill Belichick-led team.
Do you feel comfortable with that?
That's what I was going to ask you the same question.
I'm going to ask you this, DP. What is the gap between Mac Jones and his skill set coming out of college compared to Drake May?
Okay, I'll put it into a comparison of like a car. A 1990s like Hyundai to a Audi, like a 2023 Audi. Like that's the gap for me.
That's a big gap.
Where Drake May is the Audi. It's a very, very big gap, Keith. And I think that the main thing is the reason why I'm a little hesitant with this with Bill Belichick and them taking one of these 2 quarterbacks because they haven't built a supporting cast even around Mac Jones. Like I didn't like the Mac Jones pick, Keith. I hated it. I was like top 15. No, you know what I'm saying? Justin Fields right there. Move up 4 spot. Go get Fields. Go get a guy that could potentially be a truck for you. But they have not given Mac Jones any weapons to really help his development, right? When you have a quarterback that's very limited, you give them more weapons to elevate their ceiling, and they didn't do that. So I think that's a big thing for me, Keith, is I'm not completely confident in Bill Belichick drafting the quarterback yet again because you haven't shown the ability to add wide receiver help that makes sense. Not Tyquan Thornton in the 2nd round didn't make sense.
No, a Cole Strange right in the 1st round. It's quite a few. And then honestly, after that, refusing to draft any other skill positions in the top 3 rounds.
It took 3 interior offensive linemen, day 2 and day 3 of last
Like
year's
3
draft.
running backs. Yeah, remember they took like 3 running backs also. So I don't know DP, and that's the part that I have questions about. And I don't even know if the Patriot fan base, right? If I'm a Patriots fan, I'm not 100% confident in this thing because I wouldn't want to draft Drake May. Well, I would want to draft him, right? But I would be concerned about the I guess the cap that's going to be on him because we can't find skill position players, right? And that's just not stylistically what we want to do. That's why I wanted to ask, basically the reason I was asking you about Drake May versus Mac Jones, because I wanted to know, can Drake May be one of those quarterbacks that overcomes having a lackluster supporting cast? But what we know is difficult, right? Like Justin Herbert has yet to win a playoff game, right? And these are the guys that we're calling generational talent. So if you're just a good quarterback, just imagine how much more help you need at that position and just what we need. So DP, I think it's gonna be interesting, man. I like this draft storyline segment right here. We talk about a couple of these teams, man, as you know, the season is kind of winding down and more teams are looking to the draft, right? Realizing, you know what, we're just not that good. Super Bowl playoffs are not in our future, so we have to get better, man. But DP, I want to keep this thing going and flowing, man, with some players that already been drafted. And coming up next is our rookie report. And like I said, we're going to have an interesting conversation about a rookie wide receiver on an AFC contender team coming up next.
Finding the perfect holiday gift for your partner and or spouse is a challenge every single year. It doesn't matter how long you've been together, how much you love them, how important they are to you. It's hard to find the gift that is truly what you want to give them, to show them how special they are. But how special is it to go through life with your partner and experience all the milestones together? Finding a truly meaningful gift can be tough when your loved ones are so important to you. But guys, with Skylight Frame, all the best moments of your past and present are right there to see and relive. Skylight is a touchscreen photo frame that you can send photos to straight from your phone, and they appear in seconds. How can you get in on this offer? Simple. Follow these directions. As a special limited time offer for our listeners, get $15 off your purchase of a Skylight Frame when you go to skylightframe.com/lockedon. To get $15 off your purchase of a Skylight Frame, just go to skylightframe.com/lockedon. That's skylightframe.com/lockedon. Wide receiver for the Kansas City Chiefs, Rashee Rice. Had another solid game this week, Keith. You know, I think he was targeted, 8-9 times. He had, 8 receptions, 64 yards. They did lose to the Green Bay Packers, but I think we've been saying it for a while. Like, he needs more volume to help Travis Kelce and to help this passing offense, because when they get the ball to him, good things happen.
Yeah, good things happen. And I guess I want to kind of look at it in this lens, right? Like, what tier is Rashee Rice? And we talk about him because obviously last year he was a draft prospect, right? And I watched him out of SMU, DP, and I liked some of the things he did, right? I thought he was pretty good contested catch guy. I thought that he was a pretty savvy route runner, right? Like the guy kind of understands how to get open. Down the field guy. He's not a guy that runs away from defenders, but because he can go up and play above the rim, right? You can give him an opportunity. But my question is this: that skill set, how reliable is it? And then what's the ceiling? And what is he right now? Because you talk about the Kansas City Chiefs, right? And what they've drafted, right? Like they drafted Sky Moore, they drafted Rashee Rice, right? And those were the two young guys that they kind of put their eggs in that basket of saying we could be able to develop you. But when you look at the Chiefs, it's like, okay, y'all just lost to the Green Bay Packers. Are y'all good enough? But we say that Rashee Rice is number 1 wide receiver, but what was Rashee Rice at SMU? And what is Rashee Rice now? And what does that rank in the NFL as far as being a potential number 1 wide receiver?
Yeah, I think he's I think he's developing into he could develop into a solid wide receiver 1 type of option for this offense, right? Depends on how you view the point of your offense in terms of the passing game. Like, he's a multifaceted weapon, like where, like you said, he can win down the field. It's not going to be like pure speed, but it's more so body positioning, body control, be able to box guys out, play at the catch point. But you see him as he can work as a possession receiver in the quick game, but then he gives you yards after the catch ability as well. And open, like when he's not like, I think he has good speed, but it's more so build up speed. So you're talking about quick game, getting the ball in his hands, and he's able to pivot and get upfield, and that's when you see that stride open up, and he starts to pull away from some guys a little bit. But is he going to win that kind of track meet foot race vertically down the field with a corner in his hip pocket? Not 9 times out of 10, no, right? So I think where he is I view him as a guy that I want him to get the volume, 9 to 10 targets a game, because regardless of that, when they get the ball to him, he makes plays for him. And you can't say that about the rest of these receivers, right? Like Kadarius Toney stays hurt. Scott Moore has been a disappointment. You know what I mean? And the Justin Ross thing, like they need to lean on him to help with Travis Kelce and give you kind of that similar last year, that Juju Smith-Schuster 1-2 punch with Travis Kelce. That's what Rashee Rice can do, but he's just a more explosive version of that.
Okay, yeah, no, and I thought it was just interesting because you know what I kind of thought of when watching him in the NFL, and you think about that skill set. And I'm gonna say the light version, right? So this is the B to C version of CeeDee Lamb, right? Because we kind of say some of the similar things about CeeDee Lamb, that he isn't a guy that's just gonna run right past you, right? But also what they've done with CeeDee Lamb is he's not a stagnant alignment guy anymore, right? Like that's what he was with Amari Cooper, right? When Amari Cooper was there, but they started putting him in the slot. Now, if the Kansas City Chiefs can start to mold their offense around him in that facet, I think he'll be much more effective in the targets, right? But I think it's important to kind of push out who Rashee Rice is as a player, because I thought it was an interesting conversation. And we talked about this with another player. I can't remember, right? Like the best player on your team, but is he one of the best players in the NFL? You see what I'm saying? Right. And I thought that's an important kind of conversation just to kind of add context with Rashee Rice. But yeah, he did have another good game. But the question is, Rashee Rice, we need not only good games, we're going to need some dominant games from you. We're going to need the OC to get Rashee Rice involved, because there's 1-2 punch of Rashee Rice and Travis Kelce. But DP, I know there was more rookies that performed well, right? Particularly your guy in Detroit had a big game.
Oh, yeah, 9 for 9. 9 targets, 9 receptions, 140 yards, almost 16 yards per catch, and a touchdown. And that's not just my guy. That's our guy, a locked-on NFL draft guy, Sam LaPorta, tight end, man. And Keith, he is on pace for over 900 yards, for, I think 8.5 touchdowns. He's on pace to get into that, when you think about, you always hear rookie tight ends struggle, right? There's only been, I think, it's only been two rookie tight ends in the NFL history that has eclipsed 2 to 3. That's eclipsed 1,000 or more yards. And he's on pace to get close to that. So you're talking about he's already 9th in history in terms of rookie receiving yards by a tight end in the season, and he's still got 5 games to go. So he's on pace for that, Keith. This young man is balling, and he has the trust of his quarterback, Jared Goff.
What did you say his yards were on the season?
Right now, he's at 679 receiving yards. He has 64 receptions and 6 touchdowns.
Okay, and so I'm gonna read out Travis Kelce, right? Travis Kelce has 74 receptions, 813 yards, and 5 touchdowns, right? And what you understand is that he's in that ballpark, right? And we're not calling him the next Travis Kelce. But if you listen to us last year, you knew that we were all Sam LaPorta guys. But also too, DP, is that the offense isn't necessarily ran through him yet, right? Like that Kansas City Chiefs offense is run through Travis Kelce, right? Sam LaPorta, sometimes he's the number 2 and number 3 option. But I'll tell you what I really like about the Detroit Lions, DP, is that they've drafted these guys that everybody was critical of, but they're using them, right? Like it was like and what you see is the offensive coordinator, the head coach, the general manager, we're all on the same page, right? It's not the Arthur Smith situation where we're drafting these wide receivers and we're drafting these skill position players and we're not using them. I like the fact that, and it's something so simple, but you see it all the time, right? They're making a concerted effort to get these guys that they drafted involved, and that's not necessarily always the case, right? And it's like I say, we shouldn't have to acknowledge that because that's almost common sense, but it's not common in the NFL, right?
That's your job. You want to draft these players? Your job is to put them in positions to help you win. But and the Detroit Lions has just done a good job of positional value be danged. Like they don't care. They don't care about that. Jahmyr Gibbs is making big explosive plays. Jameson Williams being healthy and off suspension, making explosive plays. Jack Campbell making his plays in the run game as a linebacker, showing his actual value to their team, right? Sam LaPorta, like After hearing from Detroit Lions all draft season, we don't need a tight end. After you traded with TJ Hawkinson, I bet money you're happy right now. I guarantee you are happy about the fact that you drafted Sam LaPorta right now. Draft good players and put them in position to put them in positive positions, and you can get positive results.
Yep, I agree 100%. I agree 100%. DP, let's keep this thing going. Let's get it flowing, man. We have to make those appearances in those locker rooms. Coach K, Coach DP coming up next, man. We were handing out game balls for the best NFL performances this week.
Today's episode of Locked On NFL Draft has been brought to you by PrizePicks. They are the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. It's just you against the numbers. With basketball season here and thriving, you can now pick combo projections across football and basketball from the Specials League, a league created specifically for combo projections that includes 2 or more players from different sports and or leagues. For example, Steph Curry and Amon-Ra St. Brown at 11.5 combo of 3-pointers made plus receptions. Do you want to play alongside some of PrizePicks' favorite players like rapper Meek Mill and comedian Andrew Schultz? You can now find community players under the promos tab of the app to view entries from some of the biggest names in the PrizePick community each and every week. This week on PrizePicks, this upcoming Monday Night Football, I'm taking Tua Tagovailoa for over 280.5 passing yards versus the Tennessee Titans. So all you need to do is go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL. Use the code LockedOnNFL for a first deposit match up to $100. Coach K, Coach DP is going to walk into the Green Bay Packers locker room and look for QB1, not Aaron Rodgers. No, he's in New York healing that Achilles. I'm talking about Jordan Love, Keith. I'm talking about Jordan Love and a guy that I'm telling you, man, I am so excited about the potential of this offense. Jordan Love against the Kansas City Chiefs, against Patrick Mahomes, 25 of 36, 267 yards passing, 3 passing touchdowns. And he has a bunch of first and second year weapons, right? Tight end, Tucker Kraft, first-year player. Jaden Reed, first-year player. Dontavion Wicks, first-year player. Christian Watson, second-year player. Romeo Dobbs, second-year player. Luke Musgrave, who's injured right now, is also a first-year player. He is developing and growing with young pieces around him. And again, you're at home. You're hosting Pat Mahomes. We know what that can do to the psyche of a young QB, that I got to do more. And he was like, I'm just going to do me. And that's the key. He didn't try to do more. He just did him. And I got to give my game ball to Jordan Love, man, because he played an outstanding game. And to knock off Pat Mahomes, who we've seen them, when they struggled, we see second half, the Chiefs have come out storming. They've caught back up in games. They've taken control. And Jordan Love was like, yeah, not tonight, fellas. Not Sunday night. You know what I'm saying? Not the frozen tundra. Well, I'm going to take care. I'm going to protect this house. And I'm just excited about where this offense can go and where it could be. They valued the draft. They wanted to get this young player, this young quarterback, young playmakers, athletic playmakers, versatile playmakers. And they did a great job. We talk about the Detroit Lions drafting well. Man, the Packers have done the same thing.
Yeah, they have, DP, and I'm in the same. I'm in the same spot. I'm going to Jordan Love and I'm handing the game ball. That's big time. And you look at just the Packers season, right? They started off 2-3, right? It was like, okay, cool. They looked to be a solid. They went 2-1. I'm sorry. They started off 2-1. Won 2 of their first 2 games. Then they went on to lose 4 in a row, DP. Then after that, they've won 4 of their last 5 games, right? So it's been a roller coaster, but that's what you expect when you have a bunch of young players, right? It's not a veteran quarterback with young skill positions, right? It's a young quarterback with young skill positions, and this thing is finally look like it's meshing. And then also the head coach, LaFleur, he looks like he's finally understanding who Jordan Love is as a player, right? Because when you see these young quarterbacks make mistakes, sometimes you want to pull some off of them, right? Because you don't want to put them in that situation. And then, the offense changes. But it seems like they're hitting their stride. So if Jordan Love, listen, I'm handing him the game ball, and then I'm going to take him, go ahead, put him in the office, say, hey, bro, we got to finish. You know what I'm saying? The last quarter stretch of week 13 is in the books. We got to finish. We got 4 or 5 more games left to the season. We got to finish. We got to make these playoffs, right? The Chicago Bears have faltered. The Minnesota Vikings have faltered. We're on the upswing with this. Let's keep this thing going. We're probably not going to catch the Lions, but guess what's in play? A wild card spot, right? And let's go. And guess what? If we get in the wild card and we still hot, There will be some teams that do not want to see us, right? At the end of the day, it's like, you know what? This team is just dangerous enough to beat us. And that's why I'm giving Jordan Love the game ball, giving them momentum. But DP, Jordan Love has a draft prospect. He was an interesting draft prospect for me because he had all of the physical tools you want, but I thought that there were clear mental lapses at times, right? Like it's clear, like, why did you do that? You know, like that type of situation.
There's a lot of hero ball.
Yeah, it was a lot of hero ball. And I wanted the Green Bay Packers, and we kind of discussed this already, right? But like we said, if Jordan Love turns out and he wins a playoff game and this turns out to be a solid quarterback, not a Hall of Fame and not an all-time great, but if he's just a good quarterback, the Green Bay Packers have figured this thing out. Draft your quarterbacks early and sit them for a couple of years, right? Don't be in a rush to put them out there with a bad football team and you don't have any help and you got bad.
Let somebody else take them bumps and bruises, dog. What are we doing?
Yep.
Let somebody else take them hits. No, you get a veteran that's going to be your bridge. Hey, man, your offensive line ain't great right now. But you've been in the game for about 7-8 years. You'll be fine. All right? Your confidence ain't going to be shooken. We're not throwing our rookie out there. You know what I'm saying? Let that veteran, let that older guy take them bumps and bruises and just get the young player. Keith, you're on to something. You're on to something there. If he continues to develop, they literally have kind of set the mold with that. And this will be a conversation for a different day, but it'll pose the question, will teams, we know it's a copycat league, will teams say, you know what? Why should we start our rookie day one? You know what I mean? Like,
DP, you know what? And that's why I dislike the groupthink part of this, because sometimes they groupthink and it's talking heads that think they're sounding intelligent. But when you actually pull back the layer of it making sense, it doesn't make sense. If I have a quarterback and then you're going to tell me, just throw him out there and let him get some experience. Experience doing what? Experience playing bad football? How does that help, DP? You get what I'm saying? Like if you're your father, right? You have children. If I go do something with my son, play basketball, and I'm letting him play the wrong way, I am not helping him, right? If we're trying to learn numbers, right? And he's just saying whatever number, and I'm like, you know what? At least you're trying, son. No, that's not doing it the right way, DP. That makes absolutely no sense. I want you to learn it the right way, right? And that's my point. And DP, I have no idea, right? Because they put themselves and they back themselves into this box talking about the large-scale NFL community of you get a rookie, play him immediately. Okay. And that's why we see consistently you get 5 quarterbacks drafted in 2021 and 4 of them don't look like they could play football. That's scary. Right, because you just want to throw them out there. So DP is, you know, we got to have this conversation. You know, we may save it like when we get closer to draft season and dive in, because obviously I know you can hear the voice, the octaves kind of went up a little bit because it's something that kind of bothers me when I sit back and watch. We're gonna have DP a draft, like an NFL draft. It's like kind of like a pushback show, right? Like some of the things that people say, we're gonna just push back on and be like,
I like
you know what I'm saying?
We're gonna have those discussions.
Yeah, we're going to have some fun discussions. But DP, man, that wraps up today's show, man. Another episode down with the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. I want to say shout out to our everydayers, man. Thank you for tapping in each and every single day, man. If you didn't like yet, hit the like button. If you didn't subscribe yet, hit the subscribe button. If you didn't comment. Let us know how y'all feel about the quarterback situation. Do you want to start them or do you want to sit them, right? Let us know how you feel about that conversation. But I am Keith Sanchez, man. You can find me on X at The Talent Code, and then that is DP Damian Parson. You can find him at DP_NFL. Man, y'all talk to us because we like to talk back.
Go subscribe and follow for free on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Get the latest episode as soon as it is available. Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout out for being our everydayers. Tomorrow we're getting into quarterback prospects that may or may not be entering the draft. Looks like they're entering a different portal, the transfer portal. We're gonna get into those quarterbacks and how we feel about them not going to the draft and what should they do in terms of what teams they should be looking to commit to this offseason. So we can get into that. So come and join the conversation again tomorrow on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.